Hello again, everybody. My name is John D. Healy. I do a podcast. It's called It's Good to Talk. People know me because I produced this book, and that's how it all started. I wrote it for Stoney McGurn. He was born in 1941. His story is about all his life growing up in Ireland, all the way up to 2 years ago. So adults only if you're buying it on Amazon, and it's also on audio. I'm sponsored by Liffey Van Lines, a moving and storage company here in New York, and they've been around almost 50 years. All of my guests are interesting people. They explain their career, their life story, and how they started, and they're very, very, very special and very interesting. And today is no exception. I have Dr. Lisa Braun. She is a sex therapist with a PhD in a profession. So, Lisa, welcome to It's Good to Talk.
Good to be here.
Okay, Lisa, tell us where you were born, your background, and your education. And I always ask my guests, did somebody influence you into your career? What, did you come from a medical family? Whatever. Tell us about that.
Okay, I was born in Huntington, New York,
Okay.
which is out on Long Island, and I lived in the same house my whole life. My parents still live there, and I would say I was greatly influenced by both my parents in becoming a psychologist and a sex therapist. My dad is an engineer, which may seem unrelated, but not really. Actually, he's very scientific. So I think that's part of my thinking. And my mom was a very big feminist. And so from a very young age, I've heard about sexual anatomy for women and men and what's good and okay and what we should be.
That's very, very interesting. So let's go back then to your teenage. You went to college, you went to university, I guess. You earned your PhD. Talk to us about that a little bit.
Well, I guess okay. So I went to Wesleyan University for college, which is a very good university and is very well known for critical thinking. So really opening everything up and examining it. And basically I left there thinking everything is culturally constructed in our reality, is what I believe in. And I left there after hooking up with women, having been with men in the past, and I left there just not knowing where I was going in terms of my sexuality, but thoroughly enjoying everything I was doing.
Good.
And then I started a PhD program 1 or 2 years later. Mm-hmm. And then when I started to study psychology, I thought I was going to be into everything socially constructed, but then I realized, no, I really do think every infant, no matter what culture you're from, has certain things. In the first year of life, second year of life, third year of life, like these are very universal things. And basically, I started psychoanalysis at the time because I went to a psychoanalysis program. My mom had been in psychoanalysis when I was a kid growing up. And so I thoroughly enjoyed that. And I did my dissertation on homoeroticism, female homoeroticism. Which I thoroughly enjoyed, and it was just a deep dive into sexuality. And basically, after that, I did psychoanalytic training for a couple of years and enjoyed that. And here I am now, trying to help my patients feel better, feel good, enjoy their sexuality. I run an LGBTQ group, and so I meet a lot with adolescents and teenagers, 20-somethings who are exploring their sexuality.
Right. I'm totally impressed. So let me get to questions some of my listeners have told me to pose. And one is about, like, divorce in America is like 70%. And that's a high number. And I know a boy falls in love with a girl and girl falls in love with a boy. And if everything is going so good before they get married, I assume they should have a healthy sexual relationship. Like, after a few years, why do they decide? I know it's not all sexually related. Maybe it's finance, maybe it's trust, maybe it's something else. But it seems to me that they should have had a test drive in the car before they decided to buy it. What do you say to that?
To be honest, I say it's kind of ridiculous.
Sorry?
I think that's ridiculous, kind of. With all due respect, that's ridiculous.
That people should get married and then divorce.
No, all I mean is that, what I mean is just that marriage is something you have to work at every day.
Correct.
Like a relationship is a decision you make every day.
Correct.
To love the person and be committed, regardless of the frustration.
Okay.
Because we all want to fuck whoever we want to fuck, and want to flirt whenever we can flirt, and enjoy life every day. I mean, that's what we want.
Okay.
But so to be in a marriage is a sacrifice, and that's part of what the beauty of it. That you're saying to somebody, I love you so much, I'm going to sacrifice doing whatever I want any day with anyone I want. So I'm not sure if that's, I hope that's what I...
No, that explains a lot. I mean, if someone decides it's not working, definitely do not be in a life of misery with a partner if you're not enjoying every aspect to it. I mean, the trust, the loyalty, the friendship, everything that goes with it, including the sexual aspect to it. I mean, of course, why live half a life?
But I would wonder why do people? I mean, I think a lot of people. I think it's good to explore your sexual terrain with the partner that you choose before you marry them. Decide they're right for you, because I mean, that's obviously an enormous part of our lives. And so I think it's really important to pick somebody who wants to go into the same realms
and
that you want.
And be curious and
exactly
and experiment. I know I got you on that one, and I totally agree with that. I know you recently said you met Dr. Ruth, and most of my listeners know Dr. Ruth. I think she's a great icon, a legend, and I feel she educated so many people that tuned in to her shows. I think I was only 15 or 16 when I tuned into her, and I was a very curious 15, 16-year-old and a horny fucker at the time, obviously, like most men my age.
Everyone, yeah.
Yes, of course. So Dr. Ruth, I'm glad she's alive and well. So I'll move on to a few other things. Like I traveled a lot too, so like prostitution. I was in Russia in 1982 on wearing a different hat, dealing with awareness for people in wheelchairs. And prostitution Russia.
That's why you were there?
That's why I was there, to create awareness with people with disabilities. Yes, thank you. But while I was there with a group of 80 of us, prostitutes, there were school teachers by day and prostitutes by night. So I guess it says a lot about Moscow, and you have to have two jobs to survive. But it was like accepted in their culture. I know prostitution goes back to the Bible, Mary Magdalene and Jesus, and whatever they did. And I hope he tipped her well, because it's important.
I don't understand why it's illegal. But anyway,
sorry,
I don't understand why it's illegal. But
I totally agree with you. It should be just there.
I don't understand. I really just do not get it.
Anything else in life, I don't know why it's taboo. It should be there.
Right, I agree.
The prostitutes in Russia, teachers 9 to 3, and then prostitutes and all that. And you could get a couple of lesbian prostitutes to perform a golden shower, anything that you so desired, and it was no big deal about it. And of course, people on vacation, that's new to them, so it's like a novelty, and they want to see someone having a golden shower. Incidentally, in the book I produced, there is stories of golden showers in here. I'm just warning my adult. You can buy the book on Amazon for my listeners and learn a bit about golden showers in here. But better than that, I have Dr. Lisa Braun today, who is a sex therapist, to explain more to us about the whole aspect of sexual therapy and what goes on. I have a question in here from Mary Riley and her husband. She's in her mid-60s and her husband is in his 80s. They have a loving marriage for 40 years. They had a great sex life, she says, all that. But of late, she says, John, her husband, she says, he can't cut the mustard, she says, but he can lick the jar. And she's reasonably satisfied, but she would like some meat back in their sex life. Any advice?
I mean, I would wonder number one, has he tried? I don't know what his diet is, which enormously affects to what degree a man can keep a hard on. But I wonder if they've explored those realms. and explored his health. I have no idea if he has any health issues that may be related to why he can't. And then if he can't, I wonder if he would explore taking some medication to help him keep a heart on. So I just don't know if they've explored those things, but that's where my mind goes.
Well, I like the idea that she asked the question. Obviously, she isn't like, that's her husband. She wants to keep him, and she's reasonably satisfied. Apart from, that, and they don't smoke. They're moderate drinkers, so it's maybe they should experiment more, I guess, or whatever else, or go and meet someone like yourself to explore further. Okay?
I mean, if there's medical conditions related to the problems, I don't mean related to why it's happening. But yes, I mean related to why it's happening. Like what exactly? To be honest, does the person need to lose weight? Do they have blood pressure problems? Also, what are they eating? There's certain foods that you can eat that would help with that. So that's where my mind goes. And then there's prescription medication you could explore. And I don't know whether he's willing to talk about this or willing to explore this, or what his.
I understand. Some men are shy when it comes to their sex life or else. And I like the way Mary, questioned the thing on both their behalf. So obviously she's a good woman, and she wants their sex life to improve. So Mary, I wish you well with that, and I wish John well too. And I hope that at least he's licking the jar. That's not bad, I guess, for her. So some of my other young male friends, sometimes sitting at the bar on the high stool, and sex comes up, and why not? Not a bad topic, better than talking about politics or religion. But they ask about oral sex, and as they say, going down there, and I mean, what, going down there? It's not a big deal to go down there. And I try to explain to them in kind of an analytical way and say, well, it's like drinking a pint of Guinness. It's an acquired taste. When you get to like it, you will love it, and then the more the better. But like Guinness, it's important to get a good pint of Guinness first time round, and then you fall in love with it. Any advice for young men who are a bit awkward about going down to find the clitoris, or see the clitoris, or see where it is?
Ask the woman to point out where it is. It really exists. It's not imaginary, and it's totally there. So in some ways, I'm like, if she presumably knows, I don't know if she does, but hopefully she does. And I would just want them to say, give me your finger. Let me show you exactly where it is. So that I can imagine it being very mysterious, annoying, to be honest, but it doesn't have to be. And I would say in terms of going down, like this idea of there being like an alphabet, or going down forever, which I'm sure is like exhausting sounding and very annoying. I don't think it has to be forever. I think there's a right amount of pressure that a woman wants, and some women like it really hard, and it has to be right on the spot, So just I would just say, ask the woman, give me your hand and show me what you want. Show me what you want. Move my hand like you would move your hand.
Like it's like ask what she's happy with and all that. I'm familiar with the alphabet for the sake of my listeners. It's ABC. But you have to do it with your tongue when you're looking for the clitoris. And I guess the same goes in retrospect for a guy, say, like the prostate, I guess, and finding the prostate and prostate massage and all of that. So it's a similar type of thing if two guys are having sex and the prostate comes into play. And like looking for the clitoris, looking for the prostate, it shouldn't be a search party. A lot is about communicating. In most things in life, actually, it's about communicating. And that's why my podcast is called It's Good to Talk. And it is good to talk. So maybe you can explore that a little bit more from the point of view of male sex, or male on male, or female on a male too.
You're directing towards me, right? When you ask that question.
Yes, sorry.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, I think in some ways, as much as I just said, like, have her point out exactly where her clitoris is, sex takes time. Like, I do think there's a certain amount of just fooling around that
Right.
in some ways, I guess we all wish we could skip over. Like we all have other things to do, but really, I just think spending time with one another is like anatomy and touching
Right.
and feeling and pressing and licking. How much that does, just say, I would almost recognize that as 10 minutes needed in every sexual encounter before anybody is going to orgasm.
Right.
And I would,
foreplay. Let's talk about foreplay.
yeah, I guess that includes foreplay, right? And
Right.
I think in heterosexual interactions, I think women are very familiar with that. That's what we're kind of responsible. We
Right.
do, but I think when it becomes homosexual combinations, I think that it's not quite clear how long should it take or how does this go. But in straight sex, women spend minutes
think
and almost an hour doing it.
Foreplay should be there in
Mm.
any sexual encounter.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be wham bang, fuck you man, and then hi and bye.
Yeah.
It should be intimate. There should be romance. There should be eroticism. There should be kissing and loving and everything that goes for the entire body. So from head to toe, shall we call it, as opposed to just the penis meeting the clitoris. It's not as simple as that.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Aspect to it, and you can explore that for my listeners, please.
Well, I think I guess I'll say, when I did my dissertation, I became aware that there's erogenous zones around the whole body.
Right.
Like right here in your neck, your nipples, whether you're a man or a woman, your ankles. I don't quite get that one, but apparently your ankles, and so on and so forth. I mean, I think we're all familiar. Basically, all the different joints when where there's joints, there's often places that want to be kissed, that want to be touched. No, you don't orgasm when you're touched there, but it feels really nice. Like feels really good.
The build up to, I guess, the orgasm. Am I right in saying that?
Yes, I would agree. So I think that spending time, it's almost like I wish everybody would just agree that you need to spend 20 minutes or a half an hour just touching and massaging and kissing one another's body all over in different places, but with some sense of logic. I don't mean spontaneous, like, oh, I'll kiss you here, here, here. But when you're actually...
It's good to talk. The schedule is here. But getting back to you, Dr. Lisa Braun, who's my guest today, special guest again. And when a client goes to you, do you have more men, more women? Do you have couples?
I don't have couple. I see men and women. I get along with men very well. I have two older brothers. That plays a role in that. But I don't see couples. I've sometimes wondered if I should be. But yes, it's basically 50-50. And yeah, I'm not sure what else to say.
Another question, Liffey the moving company, and this is another example.
I could use them. At some point, I could have used them. I'm looking at that, and I'm looking at that thing, and I'm like, why didn't I know about them? I needed a moving company. Why didn't I know?
There you go.
That's good to know, Liffey.
Well, here's a sexual question for you. In the moving world, when we say somebody wants the 3-piece suite, the sofa, and the 2 armchairs taken out, and they want a corner unit put in, which means somebody decides to have a sex change. They want to get rid of the penis and the testicles, and they want to have a vagina. It's a daunting thought, personal thought, and I mean, I admire someone that wants to do that. It's a huge decision. I think it has to take a huge emotional effort to say, oh, I want to be, I'm a man now, and I want to be a woman at some point. Do you ever get people with those types of problems?
Yes.
Okay. And is it a lot of like psychology? They need to be ready, I'm assuming. It's not
ready
a decision
to do.
Likely.
No, I don't think any of the people I've worked with who's made that decision or thought about the decision have thought about it.
Right.
I can't imagine, to be honest, but I'm sure at the same time I have worked with somebody who made a sex change and then regretted it and wanted to go back. And
they want to reverse it.
Yeah, that's troublesome work.
That's like buying a new car and then all of a sudden you want to sell it and buy back your old car. I'm not sure, not for me anyways, for sure. To meet with someone like yourself, a professional, and some of my other people here ask the question always, like, is it expensive to have a session, or does someone going to a sex therapist need more than one meeting before they feel the benefits are working from meeting someone like yourself?
There's almost no doubt it takes more than one meeting. Like there's
Okay.
no, I wish it was that simple. I really wish it was.
Yeah.
In terms of the expense, I bet to see me and most psychologists depends on, there's a sliding scale. Most
Okay.
psychologists don't only charge one fee. So I think going and talking to the person and seeing
Right.
what they charge and seeing what you
Sure.
can afford would be worthwhile.
Yeah.
And I think
Right.
I think it's very helpful. I definitely think exploring these things, I mean, sex is kind of the pinnacle of being, right? I mean, that's
Mhm.
kind of the main thing we're here. So I would think I think every person wants their sex life. I don't think
Oh,
you feel like
absolutely.
your life has
It's
been worthwhile unless your
it's
sex
a
life is
very,
what you
very
want to.
important aspect of your entire life,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
people should appreciate it. I know I do myself, and my bits have given me a lot of pleasure and all of that. So definitely, yeah, of course. I don't know if I have any more questions for you. Do you ever, someone else has sent me an email, the questions of foreskin, cut and uncut. I know it bothers some guys, and the guys that are cut, I say, well, if you never had it, you never miss it. And guys like myself that are uncut, I don't want anyone taking even half an inch off me. I want all the inches I have, of course. And there are benefits to the foreskin. Do you get clients asking you questions like that?
It's funny. I mean, I don't have clients asking me in my life experience with friends and partners of my own. I've experienced both, and I don't really get the difference. And I think it kind of goes to something I was thinking. The pleasure is pleasure.
Right,
Whatever sexual orientation you
right,
have, whatever gender you are, even if you had a sex change and you don't want it, like pleasure's pleasure. And
yeah,
if you could just try to focus in on getting more pleasure,
right.
that's the main thing. To be honest, I
That's
think
really good.
that is really the main thing, more than what other people want to call you or identify.
No, I like that answer. That's good. I mean, like, I guess I would say to guys that would have that question, just use the equipment and enjoy it.
Well, I don't quite get the problem exactly, but I know some people do feel like uncomfortable with
Well,
it.
a lot of sex, I'm sure you'll agree, is in the mind of the person, and once
Yeah.
they can get over that and get on with whatever else is going on. I have a story from Ireland about three young men. They went on to work in the government as politicians, and when they were like 19, 20 years old, this girl who was a friend of mine, and she told me the story. So she slept with all three men on different nights, obviously, during a couple of weeks. And they all went on to work in the government. Now, the Minister for Finance, she said, had a big penis. He didn't know how to use it. Then the Minister for, I think, Economics was kind of awkward as well. And then the next guy, she said, had an average penis, but he knew how to use it. And he went on to be the Prime Minister of Ireland. Now, they're all dead in case anyone is trying. My
To
Irish
figure it
reference,
out.
which one is which one. But
Mhm.
so it's not about the equipment, it's how you use it, how you pleasure. And we talked about foreplay and all that
Yeah.
and all that goes with it. And you and I say to our listeners, enjoy your sex life, enjoy your partner, and be nice to each other and be nice to other people. Dr. Lisa Braun, my guest, how can people contact you? Where do you practice in Manhattan or?
Yeah, I practice in Manhattan. I mostly do Zoom calls now
Oh,
for
good.
practice. But I will be having an office coming September, and I practice in Midtown and the Upper East Side,
Okay.
basically.
It has been a pleasure talking to you, and I'm grateful that you came on the show, and you'll always be welcome back. And if any of you have questions for Dr. Lisa Braun or my other guests, I had a scientist on here from Sloan Kettering. Any questions, feel free to email me, and I will pass them on to, if it's for Dr. Lisa Braun, they'll go to her. A pleasure to have you, Dr. Lisa Braun. And I guess we'll say goodbye.